Alright, so welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my most recent purchase. This, an Athearn Southern Pacific SD40 and ready to roll with DCC and sound. Before I get into the model itself, I sort of want to get into the history of the actual real Southern Pacific 7342. In either the late 1970s or early 1980s, Southern Pacific wanted a new paint scheme before the Kodachrome scheme, which is very well known, came to be. And they wanted to do a sort of second daylight scheme. They've done this engine in multiple different paint schemes prior to this, and this was sort of their final settled on design. And this engine pretty much was used in freight service. I forget when, but it did not remain in this paint for any significant period of time. So it's a quite interesting paint scheme, and it sort of evolved off the Bloody Nose as, again, an old daylight scheme. So that's just a really brief history of this model. I forget the exact dates. I haven't looked them up recently, but as I remember, that's the story behind this thing. So now I want to talk about the model itself. So this has DCC and sound. It's an Athearn ready to roll, and I bought the thing for $100, brand new in the box. It was originally retailing for $170, but the club that I am a part of actually does eBay sales, and this came in as a donation to us, and since I'm a member, they gave me a sort of discount, and they would have sold it cheaper than the retail anyway. So I bought this thing with sound for $100. I've adjusted the sound settings and all that, and it's pretty decent of an engine. The only thing I don't really like is with all these Athearn engines, these McHenrys. I need to buy more Katy couplers eventually, but when I do, this is going to get swapped with Katy's. So now, I'm just going to do a quick overview of the model, not a review or anything. This is just going to be a short little video. So to start, there are a few things that I don't really like with this. It's these. So this, it's like the little windowsill thing. On this side, it's perfectly fine. On the other side, it had fallen off in the box, and I've had to glue it on, and it's a little bit crooked. So it bugs me a little bit, but it's perfectly fine. The other thing that bugs me is I cannot for the life of me with the functions, even with pressing the emergency stop button. I can't figure out how to get these emergency lights to work, and I know they work because it's actually got wiring to them. What else? It's missing a singular grab iron up here. I didn't notice that until I was making this video, so it's not that big of a deal. I've got spare ones, but eh. And lastly is the fuel tank. It comes with an actual, like, fuel tank detail kit. It's kind of hard to see, these little pipes here. You have to install those yourself. It's a little bit annoying to me is the fact that you can't fit the engine back in the box with the detail parts on, which seems like it's a running theme with modern models. I don't know why they do this, but it would be nice if they, made the model fit in the box. And while I was doing that, I did mess up the paint on the fuel tank just a tiny bit here. It's quite hard to see, but yeah, I did that. So I guess now I will stop complaining and just give an overview of the model and what I like about it. All right, so I think I got the front just about as centered as possible in here. So on the front, I do quite like the actual windows. I love this little lining around them, as well as the actual windshield wipers. The horn, I can't remember. I think it's a brass horn, but it feels sturdy. My MTH ones, the horns on those I really like. The front, it actually has a really nice looking plow and hoses and stuff. You can actually swap these out. I like having it up, just, I don't know, personal preference. Yeah, the front of this thing looks pretty good. Up here, there's also a working gyro light, which I also really like, and I have it on most of the time. Not much more to say about the front, so I'm going to switch to one of the sides. Alright, so on the side, there is not much to talk about, honestly, aside from these, which, again, I've talked about these already. You've got, well, I guess this counts as the side. You've got another little windshield wiper and window here that look really nice. The paint on this looks great. I really don't have any complaints about this, aside from the trucks maybe looking a little bit bare, but that seems like most models. But yeah, not much to say about here, so I will quickly flip over to the back. Back again, not all that much to talk about. I think there's another gyro light here, but I haven't actually tried to use it because I haven't run this engine long hood forward yet. I'll pick it up. It's again, about the same thing with the hoses on the back and this. Not much more to talk about. This trip pin is actually really nice, or not trip pin. The coupler drawbar is nice, and I do quite like it. And yeah, not much more to talk about back here. So lastly, it's the top of the engine. For this, I'm going to hold it, but I do like this little bar behind the radiator fans. Never known what it's there for, but I do like it. They also don't move in this one, unlike some of my other engines, but I do like the fan detail on this. This exhaust vent looks pretty good, and the horn looks pretty decent. Not much to say about it. It's not really a review, just going over this thing. So, if you want to see this thing run, it's going to be in a future video. But for now, I just thought I'd give an overview of my new engine. So, thanks for watching, and if you want to see it run, wait for the next video.